Alaikum. You're watching Views and News, and I'm Faisal Rahman live from our Islamabad studios. Today we'll be talking about the ongoing political crisis in the United Kingdom. You talk about Brexit or no Brexit. You talk about vote of no confidence. Theresa May ended up gathering 200 votes in her favor and 117 against her. A very decent majority, but there are differences within the ranks of the Conservative Party. And on top, now they want a model, something what we have learned so far. It's going to be something like the Norwegian model. Now, what exactly is that supposed to mean? That you can stay out, yet you can do the trading. When you look at UK primarily, there are four major states. One is England, then you talk about Northern Ireland, you talk about Scotland, and then you talk about Wales. Now, primarily within Scotland, the mainland Scotland rather, is a part of the European Union, whereas Northern Ireland is a part of United Kingdom. Now, regarding the currency, regarding the overall economic issues, regarding the political decision-making processes, there are so many ifs and buts. Now, what sort of future do we have for United Kingdom? That is a million-dollar question. Initially, Gordon Brown played a very vital role in keeping the Scottish public together, though the difference was only 0.5%, and that's nothing. But yet, democracy is at the end of the day democracy. Then you talk about the trade within the European Union. Now, according to the estimates, 50% of the trade is taking place between the European nations. You can well imagine the kind of states, a whole group or a consortium. That's how it works. But still, there are a lot of huge question marks out there that what exactly is going to happen. People are very, very uncertain, and that is the primary reason that currently the British Prime Minister Theresa May is in Belgium, in Brussels, holding talks regarding the future. She'll be meeting the Irish PM there as well, a counterpart. And let's see where it leads, what exactly happens. But couple of days, or rather this month and the first few weeks of the next month will be pretty important. We'll be talking about this in detail, what exactly is going to happen to the trade, to the other countries, about the security, about the financial bailout packages, so on and so forth. But that is going to be pretty interesting. To talk about this very issue, we have with us in our studio Tajammul Saab, a senior diplomat, former ambassador, has also served in UK. And obviously, he has the know-how of the inside politics of United Kingdom. And then on top, we'll be also talking to Javed Siddique Saab, who is a senior journalist from Pakistan, and we've also contacted a journalist in Ireland and also a journalist in United Kingdom. So let's see what sort of an approach do they have towards this particular issue. What do they have in their mind? What exactly is brewing out there? First of all, Tajammul Saab, thank you very much, sir, for taking out your time and being a part of our show. What's going on in UK? I mean, people are so uncertain. The stock markets are behaving very differently. The fluctuation in the commodity prices, it's very obvious. You talk about the property prices. Again, they're fluctuating left, right, and center. Now, this deal, sir, Brexit or no Brexit. Now, one thing is clear, that the lady has got 200 votes in support, 117 against her, but yet she has said that she is not going to be a part of the next election. And let's see who is going to lead the Conservatives. Many questions. Your take, sir. Let's start off from there.
Thank you so very much, Faisal Rahman Sahib, once again giving me this opportunity to sit with you and talk about very important and crucial development in the United Kingdom. As you have very rightly pointed out, that British Prime Minister Theresa May has safely survived the no confidence vote yesterday with a reasonable margin. But of course, the evolving situation in the United Kingdom is quite murky, chaotic, uncertain, and things are not really taking a real shape what is going to happen. But of course, this story started long ago, and even when it started, the talk about Brexit 2 years before, when I was in Prague, Pakistan's ambassador, European Union tried its best to keep the United Kingdom on board initially in the early part of their negotiations. And they were trying to convince the UK that you are going to get less benefits if you are out of the European Union, and you will be paying more if you are not part of that. And I don't know what happened back home in London. They were not really ready to take, for me, I will put it like this, perhaps no real substantive homework was carried out or made by the British leadership even before and during and after this Brexit deal was negotiated. Or like what? In the beginning, they were thinking perhaps it's going to be a very easy ride and they can easily wriggle out, go out of the European Union and make certain benefits which are going to benefit the United Kingdom. It was a miscalculation. Let me put it like this. Belatedly,
so they did not calculate the pros and cons primarily. That's
really,
what you're saying, Ambassador?
Not really, because the very small miscalculation which United Kingdom did not make appropriately was what they are going to lose economically and gain economically after this Brexit
At
deal.
the end of the day, sir, it's all about economic diplomacy.
Exactly. So what happened in terms of leaving EU? They had to pay somewhere 78 billion euro, and what dividends UK was going to get was around 37 billion euro.
So can they afford currently in such a fragile economy, sir?
Now,
look at what is happening in France, Belgium, Netherlands for that matter, UK itself, to be very honest.
And now, once they realized belatedly that we have made a big blunder both politically and economically, then in fact it was too late, because all the efforts which was done by the European Union to keep them on board at the end of the day failed. And I am privy to all those negotiations going on in Brussels especially. And all sorts of efforts were made, especially by big West European countries, including Germany, France, Belgium and others. And there was a concern among Central European and East European countries what is going to be their destiny. And there was a big resentment and anger among the EU leadership. And they say, please listen, it will be just the beginning of a big end for every one of us sitting in the European Union. And all that economic integration plan or project will come to nothing. And it so happened. And then, of course, gradually, they belatedly realized that we are losing a lot. And it proved in this final vote of no confidence yesterday. Look at the way this Conservative Party is now starkly divided, bifurcated, and even there is no certainty what is going to happen tomorrow. No doubt Prime Minister Theresa May is right now in Brussels. She has already met Irish Prime Minister, and she is trying to convince the EU leadership that I want whatever I have negotiated with the European leadership is the best. And I want to take
But in your opinion, sir, being somebody who has served there as an ambassador and who's lived in UK for such a long time also, whatever she has done or the kind of measures she has taken, the steps she has in her mind which she might take in the future, do you think, sir, that can actually benefit United Kingdom?
Not really, not really. Look, once the initial calculations were not made properly, and then subsequently, one after the other, there were series of mistakes, and there was no skin saving for the British leadership. And once the Conservative Party was in power, Theresa May took it as perhaps something for her own prestige not to back out. And each step which she took from that point onward has really backfired. And now this is a no-go situation, where for me, United Kingdom is in a fix. You just think about economic model, what is going to happen, and what is the destiny of EU itself, and what is going to be with Irish border. She is now very serious on getting reassurances on that backdrops and legal and political understanding from the EU, which there are 5-6 paragraphs which they are right now negotiating. And what is going to happen, we will know by tomorrow. What is there in those 4-5 paragraphs? If there is legal and political binding on this Irish border question backstop, then perhaps Theresa May can have a sigh of relief. If EU leadership is not willing to give that legal coverage or reassurances, then of course it will be a mess for the United Kingdom and they will face the music. And that music has already started. She has already announced she is not going to contest the next
Indeed, the next
election in
elections, yes.
2022. That is very much clear. This is written on the wall. And then fallout impact on the entire economic fabric of the United Kingdom, which they are
Who's
really,
going to take responsibility of
which
that?
they are really not going to take it as a sustainable model in the future. Getting out of EU, all those benefits, now who is going to renegotiate each and every agreement which they were getting benefits by in the European
Absolutely.
Union?
I mean, it was such a comprehensive, I would say, a merger. Let's put it this way.
It was.
That everybody benefited. It was kind of a win-win situation for most. But some countries were not still happy. So, for example, if Greece is in turmoil, why should Germany give the bailout package, for that matter?
That is also
and whatever they've been told to do. I mean, their economic policies or their future outlook. That seems to be very interesting in a way that, on one end, your economy has collapsed, but at the same time, you have agreed to the United States of America that for NATO, you'll be giving more than 2%, rather you'll take it to 4% of your GDP. So there seems to be a lot of confusion going on there, sir.
There seems to be a big mess ahead, and it will be a really very crucial situation for the United Kingdom to come out of that mess. And how to face that is big question, because European Union leadership is not going to budge from their principled stance which they have already taken. It is not going to be renegotiation on the Brexit deal, which has already been done. And what is the future? It will be a
Only time will tell.
difficult future.
And this is going to be a very interesting story, I'm sure, in the coming days to follow, sir.
Indeed.
So we've been joined by Shafi Jani Saab. He's a senior journalist from UK. Assalamu alaikum, Shafi Saab, and thank you very much for taking out the time and talking to us. Shafi Saab, what exactly is going on in UK at the moment, sir? Brexit or no Brexit? Well, the move regarding the no confidence vote went in favor of Theresa May. She now claims that she's not going to be participating in the next election. Then who is going to take this fallout factor in the future? And plus, since you live there, you understand the dynamics of politics much better than we do in Pakistan. Do enlighten us. Tell us what exactly is going on. What is exactly the current government thinking? And what sort of options do you think Theresa May has she has at the moment?
Let's go one by one. Parliament was voting yesterday, her own parliamentary party. She had 200 votes in favor and 117 against her. In other words, 1/3 of her own party members didn't like neither the deal nor her. But still, she is the winner, and she's trying to muster the situation in her favor. She has already announced, as you have mentioned already, that she is not going to contest the next election, and she will be out of the way before 2020. Made it clear. But she is in Brussels at the moment, Strasbourg, and Brussels. And talking to those EU members, some are in favor of her, some have soft corner for her. But as you said, the majority actually is a silent majority in thinking what to do next. And if they do, for one, what happens for the other member if they decide? So she is meeting up with those people and trying to convince, look, I have come here with empty-handed. You have to help me so I can negotiate with my own member and with the parliament, and I can see the deal is going through. But it is not easy. It will not be easy, especially the Ireland border. Ireland is Britain claims, and which is constitutionally is integral part of the United Kingdom. If they give some kind of corridor for the entrance of East European or other member of the European Union, Britain will not accept, the Parliament will not accept, so deal will collapse. Has she got any other option? Yes. She can call the next election earlier than if needed, but that will be even a worse kind of mess. Obviously, she is not going to deal with it. Now she's
Decision
sitting
taking in
down
haste
with
or
her kitchen cabinet once more, and they will try to come out at some kind of formula. One small trick is if people come via Ireland, they will go for a physical check, body check, or whatever. I'm sure European Union would not allow us and would not allow the Prime Minister. So what's going behind the scene is a private deal with like-minded states of the EU. Even if it's all mess, in January Parliament doesn't pass, but in March the time just ran out, nothing happened. So they would have some kind of, what do you call it, temporary deal with the same members, like a trading partner or like the traveling facilities, industries moving from here to there. But it's all so many if, and buts. It's not going to be easy.
now one important point, Shavisa, please throw light on that. I mean, when you look at Ireland, obviously we'll definitely be talking to a journalist in Ireland also later, in the later half of our program. But sir, since there are 4 major states of UK, earlier I was having a word with Ambassador Tajammul Altaf Saab, who is also in our studio, and we were talking about the Northern Ireland, England, Wales, Scotland. What happened in Scotland, we all know, I mean, such a close call was there. When you talk about Northern Ireland, honestly, whenever you talk to anybody who is an Irish, they would say that the Britons, they have captured their area. And there are a lot of problems, a lot of issues. Do you think at some stage, if things do not settle down accordingly, when I say accordingly, it means according to what is brewing in Theresa May's mind, do you think things can really get different, sir? And what is the significance and importance of this current meeting between the PM of Ireland and Theresa May?
I fear it's going to be mess worse than your and my imagination if that happens, because Scotland certainly will go for another referendum and they will not budge from their position. Ireland is already very, very bitter, so they will go on their way. And God forbid, if the situation develops that kind of, I'm not going to use the word, being a journalist, I can't use that sort of word, but I'm forced to use it, it will be heading towards a civil war, not on one front, on 3 different fronts, and God knows what will be the future of that. So Brexit and the people who are against Brexit, do they have any future? Well, there is a hope for them as well that they might force actually another referendum. But people who were in favor of Brexit, would they swallow? 2 or 3 politicians who were out of the politics, they have announced, no, we're coming back in politics, but we realize that people are making conspiracy against the Brexit. So they are coming. Their prime minister is meeting with the other prime minister and trying to sort out some kind of deal. I don't have any information yet, but as long as they are talking, as long as they are negotiating something, I'm not totally despair that there will be nothing left. I'm sure there will be something for everybody and sense will prevail. I'm optimistic. That's why I'm using this line.
Shafi Jani Saab, last comment. We have also read that there is an option for the Brits that they can have some kind of a formula that the Norwegians have with the EU. Would you like to throw light on that also? What sort of a formula is that? And will that formula be beneficial for the people of UK, sir? Or there's going to be some problem? Because when you look at Norway, I mean, their economy is flourishing, whether it's because of oil, or it's because of the shipping industry, or because of the fish, or the water, or the electricity, or the other genuine exports of metals or otherwise. But when you look at Britain, sir, it's pretty fragile.
It's interesting you have asked this question because yesterday, actually today as well, I was just voting. Uh, it's a kind of satire running on social media. This is against the EU and against the Brexit people. They were showing Switzerland that we have the cows, we have the milk, and we have the butter. As you mentioned, Norway was saying, well, we have the seas, we have the fish, and we have the industry. Finland was coming up as well, and saying well, that we have the best education system, and they're bringing something new as well. So, what, in short, they were saying, well, we have everything to benefit us, just three, four of us can change, and other people of the exact EU will come and join us. In other words, it's as becoming a joke. So certainly, the point you were making, that formula can come into action, but it's all if and buts. January is a crucial time for the parliament, and March is a deadline. One mustn't forget those two things. And if they don't reach some kind of agreement, I'm afraid things ain't going to be rosy.
All right. Thank you very much, Shafi Jani Saab, for your comments, sir. And we'll definitely be talking to you in the future also, and we'll be taking notes that what exactly is going on now, sir. One very important area. I wasn't expecting that, actually, to be very honest, that a civil war-like situation can erupt. Nobody ever thought that Paris is going to be deadly, sir.
Yes.
Look at Paris. What a civilized first world country. About 5-6 people died. 1,200 of them were picked up by the law enforcement agencies. 125,000 were on the roads. The value, the practical value, the overall impact is going to be about 10 billion euros, but currently 1 billion euro. 50, 60 cars were torched, shops were looted, people are not going out, at least a decline of 40% as far as your restaurant business is concerned, and that is the very important benchmark. And obviously, when you talk about tourism, sir, 40 million people, yes. 40 million people visited France. Yes. And do you think this is going to impact their economy as well? So similar situation are brewing elsewhere as well. Sure. You look at the Eastern European economies. I was having a word with somebody, and I was surprised to see that according to the index issued as far as the fastest developing countries are concerned, sir, 5 of them were from the Eastern Europe: Romania, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, for that matter. Wow.
Absolutely. Now, first of all, I fully tend to agree with Shafi Naki Jami Sahib on his very brilliant analysis. And when he was speaking, all that ideas were coming to my mind time and again, which started quite in the past. And there were ripple impact of those things coming, that what is going to happen with the future of Europe. Now I'm talking about Europe and EU, especially EU. Europe is under economic fatigue now for the last 2 decades. And EU...
Who is to be blamed for that, sir? Is it USA?
Well, it
is it the reason, the wars, because of the immigration, sir, whether it's in Germany or in Italy or in Greece, though Hungary closed the borders? I mean, there are problems.
It is complex of issues and host of problems.
Look what is happening in Portugal, in Spain for that matter.
Which are really impeding the whole process. Now, you said immigration. Now, immigration or migration is in DNA of Europe and America. What happened with immigrants in the last 2 decades? It is a sad story. And closing of borders and populist approach and not allowing people to come. And then economies declining, especially after this 2007-8 financial crisis crunch. What happened to the European economies is another eye-opener, a sad story. But Europe did not learn lesson from all that. And now you have very aptly pointed out what is happening in France. It was unprecedented, that huge pressure coming on Macron.
And they had to reverse their decisions.
And the way all other capitals are having heat, you are talking about, we are not talking about only Western Europe, what is happening in Central and Eastern Europe. You have rightly pointed
Sir,
out.
if you allow me, we've been joined in by
Please.
Anna O'Leary. She's a senior journalist, columnist, political commentator from Ireland. Thank you very much, Anna, for taking out your time and talking to us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Ma'am, first of all, please do enlighten us about what is exactly going on And currently, we were just having a word with one of the journalists who is based in UK, and he said, I mean, that the current government has destroyed UK and things would be really, really bad. And whatever Theresa May has done, that's a disaster. And maybe in the future, there could be a civil war-like situation. And March is really, really important. Your take, ma'am.
Well, when I heard your last speaker talk about the economy in Europe and France and Italy in great political turmoil, this could spread like wildfire throughout Europe, and this is not totally unexpected. We have had what they called austerity, which I call poverty. We have had, as he said, 2 decades of it, thanks to the EU. When the Brexit deal was voted on, I only wish that Ireland could exit the EU with Britain. We are long, old trading partners with Britain. But at the same time, Britain and Ireland have had their problems and will continue to have problems, which should really be dealt with. Yes, today our Prime Minister, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, met with Theresa May earlier today. I saw that this morning, that he had a discussion with her in the Irish delegation rooms before the meeting this afternoon. But Brexit is the story of a proud former imperial power that is being brought to heel by the EU. British people chose to be no longer treated as just one of 28 member states in the Confederacy of Europe. They think Britain is special. Britain is special. It was an empire at the start of the 20th century, and it has ended up being a small country, unable to give and take, unable to negotiate with the EU. And what is going on is a catastrophe for Britain. For years, the British secured special treatment, special deals inside the EU. For example, it won rebates from its budget contributions, and it was allowed to opt out of the Euro and Schengen governing border checks. So, being special, they now think they can exit with a special treatment, and it's not looking that way. It wants a frictionless cross-border trade with the EU without having to pay the price the rest of us members have to pay. And then there is the problem, of course, of the Irish border backstop. It's the biggest issue for us here in Ireland. Because if no other solution is found to police our Irish border, and if the solution is not found by 2020, it will become a hard border. There is no other deal. Ireland has had many problems. Sorry.
Yeah, I would also like you to tell us about one very important issue for a person like who's sitting in Pakistan, for that matter, and when they look at the issue, I mean, obviously earlier we were talking about the 4 states of UK. One is your Northern Ireland, and the other island is obviously a part of EU. Now, what is going to be the future of those two? Now, don't you think that is going to be the real problem? That's what you're in fact highlighting?
Well, I think the real problem, you know the history, and the Pakistani people will definitely know the history of Ireland, that we were the first part of the British Empire, and we were the first people to break up the British Empire when we left with the 26 counties, but we only got a partial exit from the British. They held 6 of our northern counties, which is the part referred to as Northern Ireland now. But it belongs to Ireland. But a border dispute could and would endanger the cessation of violence that the Good Friday Agreement brought about. It's an old festering wound, as you can understand. When the British occupation of Ireland ended, they left us, you know, and in an ideal world, the British should have given us back our 6 counties, torn off the shackles of empire and returned Ireland to us, a united Ireland. And I wonder how long more Britain can dodge this issue. Surely the days of empire are over. There should be no borders on our island of Ireland. We should have a united Ireland, the island my ancestors fought and died for. So Britain is today trying to have it both ways. They want a soft border in Ireland because they know once they put a hard border there again, the trouble will start. So instead of dodging the issue since June 2016 when they knew this was coming, they should really have put something in place that Ireland would be returned as a nation, returned to the way Britain found us.
All right.
Have I explained it?
Another important point, do you see, I mean, the stock market stumbling, or for that matter, the currency, in particular the euro, getting devalued or something of that sort? What would be the future of pound in that, in that particular regard?
You know, once Britain leaves the EU, they will be able to regulate their own currency. And the fact that they didn't go in with the euro, it's easier for them to leave. They already have their pound intact. They already have the City of London. I don't think it will be such a big problem. The British have always done well, and I don't see it doing badly after their exit. I think the issues it's throwing up are other issues around the globe, issues like the border in the north of Ireland, the injustice of holding our 6 counties, the injustice of putting a border on a country like Ireland.
I think that is going to be a problem and a half in the future. But anyway, good luck, ma'am. Let's hope things do get better for Europe. But currently, when you look at what is happening all over Europe, all across Europe, by the way, if you start from one corner to another corner, and then let's see where it leads. But I think the coming months are really crucial and really important for the future of Europe. Anyway, thank you very much, Anna, for your comments. Now, picture isn't rosy, sir.
Not at
Things
all.
are very different. Now, this is from the horse's mouth, basically.
Yes.
That this is what has happened, this is where it is leading, and this is what we see. The writing on the wall is bold, beautifully
Loud and
clear, but italic and very nice. But the reality might be a little different.
Reality is quite grim by all means. And Anna has very aptly analyzed the whole situation, that it is a pity that the 20th century British Empire is now crumbling down. And that Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Unfortunately, they are going to have a bad fall. And I mean,
And do you think all the king's horses and all the king's men would eventually end up saving UK,
that
sir?
situation has arisen because of historical follies made by the United Kingdom, especially after 9/11. I will put it like this. When the debate was going on in the European Union, what is future of Greece and what is future of EU, and then United Kingdom decided to stay with United States of America, and they started thinking to isolate themselves from the issue, and they became jockeys in support of American war in Iraq, and all that fallout impact when EU was crying literally, don't do that. It is an unjust war which you are going to fight in Iraq.
Million people march, if you remember, sir.
Without sanctions or approval of the United Nations, you are entering into a area. Don't do that. Europe will crumble if you start doing that, number one. Number two, migration itself. And all that facade created by terrorism and extremism disturbing Europe is another sad story. But of course, UK was trying to fly on the EU with wings, one on the United States of America and the other when they were talking about Greece bailout, and then EU was missing in between. So this was eventual end written on the wall, as you said, loud and clear, an eye-opener for Europe, but of course they didn't learn lesson from the history. And Gordon Brown, for me, Prime Minister Brown for me was the architect of all this thing when he was going to EU meetings in Brussels and so
But sir, he was the
vehement.
main man who also made sure that though the margin was very little, but if he wasn't there, you never know, sir. This particular area, Scotland might be a different story altogether.
Well, again, not taking all the political analysis, he was so vehemently in favor of Brexit. and he tried to convince the leadership, and he said, no, we are not going to stay in the EU. This is our final decision. And again, this was miscalculation, which I am saying time and again, started in the very beginning and coming even to the close of end. So there are things now clear. 21st January is going to be a crucial date in the UK for the second vote. And then, of course, 29th March, when they have to leave.
That's the deadline.
That is the deadline. And in between, there is no way out. Whatever, Theresa May went empty-handed to Brussels this time again to have some sort of leverage or some concessions or reassurances where this Irish border issue is, resolved to an extent, so that at the end of the day, both Irelands may not fall apart quickly when Scotland is very much ready to come up with the third referendum, which will be a disaster for the United Kingdom. Just think, what is Wales and England going to be without Scotland and Northern Ireland? It will be a total mess. And even within that island, what will be the role of UK as a union? So all these are now going to be debatable questions. Things are really in a very bad shape. And EU, for me, I am absolutely clear, EU leadership, all leaders of 27 countries are not really going to give any basic concessions from this point onward. So it will be hard time for the United Kingdom
Now, sir, the
to make
economists,
decisions.
they believe that there is going to be an absolute recession without the Brexit deal, sir. This is stated by the Bank of England. Now, sir, economy is already fragile, and on top you're looking at a recession. American economy isn't doing that great at the moment, so though there is an increase in jobs and otherwise. But look at what is happening in Europe, and obviously, as we all say, the regions grow or the regions fall. So when you look at Europe as a whole, sir, what I've noticed that the developed countries like Italy, France,
yes.
or Germany for that matter, most of these countries are not having great terms with USA anymore, sir. Look at what Macron had
Yes,
said the other
yes.
day, and his finance ministers and foreign minister as well, when Trump tweeted, again. But the Eastern European countries, Hungary, Poland, Romania for that, they're doing pretty okay within their own given capacity, sir.
Yes.
Do you see some sort of a shift, sir? That's how it happens.
Well,
Pakistan was the Asian tiger, and later on we got to know that it's no more.
Europe in totality is going to face the steam. It's but absolutely true. Recession you mentioned, economic decline is very much there, and economies are not prospering. And pendulum of economic development is also shifting from the Atlantic to the Pacific. There is no doubt.
It has,
in
I think,
that. It
shifted,
has
sir.
already shifted, and things are taking their new shape in such a way where, because of the role of United States of America, Europe is really going to get more economic fatigue. And this is going to make them the loser, not the beneficiary of the whole thing. That is why Germany is taking hard line. And
Angela Merkel won't be there as a chancellor
she
anymore,
will,
sir?
she will,
She has served.
she has served
good terms, I would
but
say.
of course, if there is a country in Europe which can come up with a wise or strong economic worth, that is Germany. And even if Germany is a single country is trying to do, I have seen the small countries you're talking about in Central Asia, especially Czech Republic, Romania, Austria, and Hungary. Now, not only people, but leadership in these countries are also seriously thinking what is going to be our future, and are we economically losing more and getting less? And this Brexit thing will really intensify that feeling. And at the end of the day, Europe will be the loser. Now, what is going to happen tomorrow, after 2 years, what is going to happen in United States of America, and if things are improving there and Trump, of course, doesn't get the second term, then of course, perhaps gradually things will start improving again at the end of the day, it will take very long time. Because what they have lost in the last 2 decades is going to really matter hard for Europe and Americas.
So if I may ask you the last question, the future of Europe, sir?
Quite-
Uncertain,
quite,
fluid, how would you rate it?
Right now, future of Europe does not seem very promising. And this is because of
And when I
multiple...
say the future of Europe, sir, and if I may add, future of NATO.
Future of NATO is also at stake because of that economic fatigue, where United States of America is pushing very hard to get at least 2% of GDP of these countries
And
to
eventually take it up to
contribute.
4%.
And these countries are not in a position financially to pay at even 2%.
And
So-
for somebody else's wars, by the way.
Yes.
They're always American-led and not owned, American-led, but American allies owned, unfortunately. And this is where
The
world
dilemma is the same when we put more focus and money on conflicts and wars. We really don't have that big chunk
But
of money for economic
Ambassador Saab,
development.
when you look at these huge military complexes generating trillions of dollars through their exports, this is bound
Only
to
one
happen.
point which I want to
Last
make
closing
here.
comment, sir.
Last comment that in terms of military potential, United States of America is still number 1. But Russia is catching up now as number 2. This is quite surprising. They are going to take place of other countries which were very much there in the line. So it is again going to be a conflict between United States of America and Russia. Number
And
2.
US interest in Europe versus the Russian interest,
Russia-
because they want to give and sell their energy resources, whether you talk about gas or otherwise. But let's see, sir.
And these two poles are re-emerging, like on the one side, United States of America
So
and
these
Russia.
two plates, the Asian plate and the American plate, and the Europeans are in between. Let's
That
see
is
how
what-
much squeeze they can
And
afford.
in that, will Europe be able to come out of that tectonic plates, tsunami sort
That
of a
is a million-dollar
situation?
question, sir.
That is my take of the day.
Anyway, sir, thank you very much.
My great
Ambassador Saab.
pleasure. My
And that's
great
all we have for this hour. I'll see you again. Till then, you take good care. Khuda Hafiz.